It is end of summer, and I read a lot of books. So I'm in the Navy, and I go underway a lot. We go out to sea, and so I have a little bit of time to read, and but then I don't always get time to make YouTube videos. I'm not always in the mood to make these because it takes a lot of energy for me to do this, because I really want to make them really nice, and so forgive the delay. So I read quite a few books. I liked a few of them. Some of them I did not. But I was talking about the ones that I read, and the ones I got a little haul that I picked up a few books the other day, and the ones I'm currently reading. And one of the last ones I read was *The Stranger* by Albert Camus. This was originally published in 1946 in French, and this is the second English translation. There's one other woman who translated this after mine is translated by Matthew Ward, and there was one other person after him to publish it, to translate it. And this deals with a man named Morceau, and it opens with his mother dying, and he has to go to her funeral, and you just immediately get this bad feeling about this character. He has no emotion, and at least he doesn't really, I don't think he did, but he doesn't really show any remorse. He doesn't ever really cry. He doesn't show any type of affection and love. He gets involved in a murder and is put on trial, and it's really just his journey into discovering his own life and security in his own self and being at peace. And that's kind of really what existentialism is about. This Albert Camus really pressed on this a lot. He kind of basically coined the idea of existentialism, and through in your own self to find peace and tranquility, and not being reliant on any other type of religion or any other type of person, which I personally don't agree with, but I thought that Camus is an excellent writer, and I definitely want to read more books of his in the future. I also read *Sleeping Murder* by Agatha Christie, and this is her very last work that she ever had published, her very last novel. I mean, she had her autobiography published, I think, right after this. This one was absolutely wonderful. This is the very first Miss Marple case that I ever read, and I found her to be a very lovely character. I kind of always pictured Maggie Smith as, while I was reading her. She just has that kind of, like, maybe not so harsh as the Dowager Countess, but I definitely saw some Maggie Smith in Miss Marple. So, but this deals with a couple, a little young married couple, and they move into this house, and little does this woman know that she used to live in this house when she was a young girl, and something that happens in the story triggers this memory that she had of a murder in her house. She remembers seeing a dead body of her stepmother on the stairwell, and she somehow because she was very young when she had seen this, like, very young child, and so it was somehow blocked out of her memory, and then it was triggered, and she has to actually prove that this murder took place. And so she, through family, friends, she meets Miss Marple, and Miss Marple helps her and her husband try and prove that this murder existed, or try and solve the murder. It's very, very good. Just wonderful Christie. You never know who the killer is. She's just too good. It's a great twist. I was thinking, so good. The person I thought was going to end up being the killer, no, never the person you think. Never the person you think. But definitely recommend this too. This was an excellent Christie. I definitely want to read definitely more of Miss Marple, especially. I read *My Cousin Rachel* by Daphne du Maurier. I don't know how I felt about it. It was okay, but if you're going to read du Maurier, definitely read *Rebecca* if you're only going to read one. It is definitely her masterpiece, and nothing she's written, I think, will ever surpass that one. And but I don't really want to read any more of du Maurier anymore. I've heard that *Rebecca* is the big one to read, and possibly *The Birds*, But I really did not enjoy the Alfred Hitchcock film, even though he was one of my favorite directors. I just cannot stand the birds, and so I don't think I would really enjoy the book either. But the writing in My Cousin Rachel is very excellent, very, very beautifully written. And I did enjoy the characters, but I didn't really like the plot, and she kind of left you hanging with what we think of some of these characters, and the ending is just like one of those like WTF, really? This is how this ends? And I didn't really enjoy the ending. I didn't enjoy it very much, but you're not gonna like them all. Now, I also read The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, and I read this super quick. This is the one that really jump-started my summer reading, and I read it in less than a week, and when we were underway, and it was so good. The writing was just very kind of like a Law and Order-y kind of a plot. It was like morning, evening, and you just learn about this woman who is on these trains every day because she is supposedly going to work. That's what she tells her roommate. But she was actually fired for being an alcoholic and drinking on the job. But she always sees this couple on her way to London, and she just always wants their life. She thinks that these people have the perfect life. And then she sees something afterwards that completely changes the whole story, and it goes in between three different women's perspectives, but mainly the first woman. And it's very, very dark, and there's lots of little twists and turns, and it's just such a wonderful telling of how misconceived you can be about other people's lives. And it was excellent. The great thriller twist ending. I loved it. And so then I moved on to The Good Soldier by Ford Madox Ford, and because I really hadn't read a classic in a little bit, and I love classics, they're the basis for everything, but I really did not enjoy The Good Soldier because the narrator was very unreliable, which I don't always hate because Wuthering Heights also has an unreliable narrator, but The Good Soldier, it kind of goes back and forth between different times in the story. There's no chronological order. He doesn't really ever even say, it's kind of confusing to read, and I would really like to read it again to get a better interpretation of it, but who has time? And so it deals with a man retelling the story of him and his wife and their two friends who are also husband and wife, and their life together, and what happens when adultery takes place and deceit. I'm glad I read it because it's a classic, and it's probably been the basis of many other great works as well. I read 50 Shades Darker, and we're not even going to talk about that. I loved the first book, and it's been several years now since I had read it, and I really wanted to read the second one because I've been reading a lot of heavy stuff, but did not enjoy that one at all. It's very, very bland. I could not take the story seriously. So I might read the very last book in the series, I might not. I don't usually read series, but we'll see. And now, my favorite book that I think I read over the summer was I'm Thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid, and it was absolutely amazing. It's only about a 200-page book, and it packs a punch. It was so good. And it deals with a girl who is driving with her boyfriend to her boyfriend's parents' house in this little, little boonies farm area, and she keeps questioning whether she wants to continue a relationship with her boyfriend, and then little things that I found very eerie. There are phone calls that come from her own phone number, which is what do you make of that? How do you even how I don't even know how I would handle that. It's very strange. It deals with just little things that just don't seem normal, and it just creates this really eerie aura of this book, and Really, really great psychological thriller. It's amazing, and it's short enough where you can take the time to read this one. It is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I have a few books that have a little haul. Things that I picked up at my local used bookstore. Things that I've kind of been thinking about reading for a while, and I happened to see the copy. And so I found The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides, and I also have Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, but I haven't been able to read it yet, but it seems like a wonderful book. And so everyone raves about this one, and I had seen it, and like, okay, I think I'll give this one a try. And I also picked up The Painted Veil by Somerset Maugham, and Words of a Reader had just read this recently, and I'd seen her review, and she really, really recommended it. And so I was looking, and I saw this beautiful cover online, and because most of the copies now are the movie tie-in cover, which I don't really like those, but I loved this painting on this cover. It's really, really pretty, and I actually found this one at the used bookstore. I was like, but it's in very good condition. It's beautiful, and I like that when you buy used books, sometimes they have little highlights in there. So you can kind of be on the lookout for those, like, oh, this is something that this previous reader found very significant. So I like those little things. And I also found a Christie. I found Appointment with Death, and this is a Poirot mystery, I believe. Is it Poirot? Yes. So I read one Poirot once before. I read Halloween Party, which I didn't particularly like. But so this is, when was this one published? That was one of her later books, whereas this one was published originally in 1937, so it's an older one, which I think I've been liking her older things better. So we'll see how this one goes, but I'm really, really excited to read it, because Christie's the bomb. And so the ones I'm currently reading I'm reading The Diary of Anne Frank. I know I've always, I know it's ridiculous, I'm in my mid-20s and I've never read her diary, but I think this time I've actually wanted to, I think I really want to finish this. But I don't think I want to read it continuously, like all in one swoop. I really think I would enjoy reading this more if I was kind of picking it up and reading bits, maybe like, 40, 50 pages in between books. Because, this book, it took 2 years for her to write her diary. And I think I really would like to appreciate it and read it a little bit more sporadically than just reading it all in. I think it would be a good way to read this. And so another one that I'm reading, I think I'll probably read this one all in one swoop because it's just too good. And I'm reading Perfume, The Story of a Murderer by Patrick Suskind. And this was also a read by Words of a Reader. And she raved about this, and I had never heard of this book before. I'd never seen the movie. And I found this beautiful, almost like seemed unread copy at another used bookstore in my area. Isn't it pretty? And so that is my little summer wrap up. And so I will be hopefully making videos more frequently. We will see. So see you next time.